And good morning. Happy Saturday, November 13th, 2021. We're live just a few seconds before 8 o'clock. If everybody can hear me, let me know over in the comments. There are already 17 of you. Wow. And one thumbs up. Let me know. Hit that thumbs up button. Let me know that you can hear me. There are certain keywords we're going to stay away from this morning. I'm also using a different web browser this morning. I am using Google Chrome. So we'll see how this works out. Perfect. So good morning, news fan. JH, Dave Robertson, Dennis Pillow, Justin, Jim, Zach. Good morning, Bob. Sean, good morning. Morning, Barry. Philip, Dave Anderson, DNS Service, Brian Murray, Dale, everybody, Jeremy, everybody's piling in. 33 of you, only 14 thumbs up. Hit that like button. Pretty soon it's not going to matter whether you don't like me or not because YouTube's going to take the dislike button away. So I don't know if they're doing that to encourage the smaller channels to keep putting content on, because obviously that's what keeps the paychecks rolling in. So good morning, Alejandro, Romuald, Cecil, Joe with Cajoling Tech, Tony with Quick Tech. We're just missing Unky Joe. Unky Joe, maybe he's still in bed or maybe he's getting ready for his live stream. So we'll do a lot of Q&A. We've got Morning Dale, Gibby, Gary. We got a lot of Q&A to catch up on over the last couple weeks. Good morning, Ralph. I'd like to thank some folks out there. You know who you are. I'm using one of the Anderson & Son Western Nut Company coffee tumblers this morning. I'm drinking Leaves and Beans out of Peoria Heights, Illinois. Their maple hazelnut coffee. Got 2 pounds of that for my wife for her birthday. And thankfully she likes it because she's pretty picky about her maple coffee. Good morning, James, DJ Ware, Jerry, Scott, everybody piling in this morning. So first things first, the day before Thanksgiving here in the United States, which is, and I'm going to send there's going to be a MailChimp newsletter go out about this. Let me look at the month on my phone, which I believe that is going to be the 24th. We are going to do a 4-hour Unify training. So instead of a whole day with a bunch of different stuff, we're going to go from 8 a.m. Central to 12 p.m. Central, and it's going to be nothing but Unify, the latest and greatest and all that good stuff. So Tim will be putting the purchase link up this weekend for the time. It's only going to be $150 for the 4-hour class. Recordings will be available afterwards, not for public consumption, only for those who paid for the class. I'm going to post some pictures on social for our customers who have bought at least 10 hours of service this year. We've got a real nice Christmas present that we're going to be sending out to everybody. I'm waiting for Amazon Claus to drop off the rack blanks. I don't know if you've seen this, but then my uncles who own Harmony Hillville Creative Studio, they've got a ginormous laser, and they have etched my company logo, phone number, and website into the rack blanks. So I'm excited that we're going to be sending those out to those customers. Ralph says, doing a nice pour over with a local Kona blend. All right, let's see. Good morning, Prav. Yes, I am a Tom and Jerry was before the 80s, but I am an 80s baby. So I did grow up with all those rowdy cartoon characters. Morning, Tom. Harry. No, JH, I have not had a chance to play with any Sienna gear. Yes, Gibby, I have a few of the Jetstream switches. We've quoted a couple of the TP-Link Jetstream switches. So what's really nice about the TP-Link switches is that if you need to do stacking so that you can do advanced things, like I can put 3 switches in a stack with TP-Link, right? With certain models, I can put 3 switches in a stack. I can create lags, and I can have a port from each switch be in the lag, right? So I start building out true redundancies and things like that. So yeah, um, I am going to. I can't show you the name of this product. I can't tell you. I will tell you that I'm testing it. I am beta testing it. I will be going full bore with it this weekend, and I'm going to just give you a side profile of this device, trying to cover up any identifying information. It is from a manufacturer we all know and love. That's all I can say. I'm trying not to blow up my NDA. There's the top. I can't show you the bottom or the front because that'll definitely give it away. But yeah, I'd look for some news on this pretty soon. Somebody the other day asked me. This is not. By the way, this is not Ubiquity. This is not Ubiquity. If it was Ubiquity, I wouldn't even tease you with it because they take that really, really seriously. Unless they're the ones creating fake videos, with propaganda, then it's cool. But yeah, so this is yeah, I'm pretty excited about this. Gibby, that is in the UI. You can do all of that from the web interface. All right. So I feel like because of some of the issues we had that we haven't been able to do this in such a long time. Go ahead and start posting your questions. Good morning, Terry. It is not MikroTik. So y'all are wearing me down. Y'all are wearing me down with your guesses. It's definitely not Apple. If it was Apple, this thing would not be affordable. So anyway, yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. Oh, so Palo Alto, right? So by the way, if you are a veteran and we just had Veterans Day, thank you very much for your service. Not all of us are built for military service, so we're very thankful for those of you that are. On Veterans Day, I had a full slate. I was off from my day job, had a full slate of consulting for the entire day. One of the conversations with one of the conversations that we had was around is the Dream Machine, is the Ubiquity stuff, is this a long-term play, right? Are we playing the long game with this? And I don't have a good answer for that. Nobody really knows, where Ubiquity's going. What they're doing, you can kind of see what they're trying to do, right? They're trying to make these boxes that anyone can just install and do all this. So I'm going to post some pictures on social media. I did the G4 doorbell that you saw that I had. I did give that to a friend and installed it at her house, and I installed my G3 UVC micro in her garage, and then we're going to do one more in the back. Now I didn't sell the gear to her. I'm not charging her. She's going to, of course, let me know, and I'm going to keep that kind of as a study. It's somebody that's relatively close in mileage, so I can kind of keep an eye on how things are going. I never sell the gear that is given to me. It stays in the lab. In this case, I give it away. I just gave away a Synology as well. The person paid shipping. I cleared the hard drives. So occasionally, if you're following me on social media, you're following the stream and stuff like that, occasionally I do give some of this gear away because what else am I going to do with that? I'm not going to sell it. The only time I could ever see something like that is if we were destitute and we were going to lose our house and then I could probably see doing it. But otherwise, now I can't sell that gear. But over to the comments. Yeah, it's definitely not Apple. Bob, we're not going to talk about that word this morning. And we're going to see how it goes. We're not even going to talk about where we're at with the thing, right? We're just going to avoid lots of those keywords that we learned over the last 2 weeks. So Palo Alto. So the conversation with about the UDM and the Unify ecosystem it ended up going down the Palo Alto route. Now, I'll get to some of the other comments here in just a minute. So Palo Alto now has this thing, and the only name off the top of my head that I can think of is Oikyo. but that's like that's a Greek yogurt brand, so that's definitely not it. But can somebody post the Soho home Palo Alto router name in the comments, please? But it's really not bad. $349 a year. But what do you get for $349 a year at the lowest model, right? You get a box that looks like the bottom of this with the top of a Dream Machine. You get all the software. You get all of the. You get a concierge from Palo Alto. You get Palo Alto support, and I'm not talking about Hail Mary opening a ticket and hoping you hear back with something you haven't already tried. I'm talking about like Palo Alto support. So I am probably, as soon as I find out what I owe in taxes, and we get the last quarter kind of wrapped up, I am probably Q1 next year going to drop the $349 on one of those devices so that we can check it out here. We can do reviews and videos on it and stuff like that. So, but it's the thing is, like Palo Alto, they could come in, they could walk all over these other vendors. They've got enough cash in the bank. They could give the service away, sell the device, but then it becomes a losing proposition for them, right? It doesn't match with their current business model. So we're going to definitely see what Palo Alto's got up their sleeves. Palo Alto, I mean, they're the king. They're the top of the heap for a reason, and my dad always said, if you were good at something, you should never do it for free. Right. That doesn't mean all the time. We donate time, we donate, stuff, but like, you got to be able to make a living. All right. Over to the comments. JH says, did you see that Cisco is getting into 5G LTE radios to compete with Ericsson? Well, they'll soon figure out that Ericsson's been in that game much longer than they have. Cecil, somebody else, Cecil asked, are the Grandstream switches coming online soon? So my contact over there, every time I reach out to him, I know he laughs because he actually laughed. We had a Grandstream Insiders webinar a couple weeks ago, and I was peppering him like, hey man, where are the Ethernet switches? And he laughed, and he's like, and he answered the question on the air with everybody else. And he's like, Willie, they got pushed out. Yeah. Until either late this year or next year because of chip shortages. So Dennis, thank you for your time in the Air Force. Good morning. I hope I pronounced this right. Gina Ward from Scotland. One day we hope to make it to Ireland, Scotland, that area of the world. Yeah, and Alejandro says, I talked with Grandstream and they said switches were pushed out until next year. Yeah, supply chain issues. Their 4x4 Wi-Fi 6 AP is coming soon. Looks like we're going to get an outdoor Wi-Fi 6 AP. I need to take the time to get all these videos done because there's so much exciting tech that outside of just Ubiquity, I just can't get all the videos. I just can't get all the videos done. I need to bring on another subcontractor. I'm talking to somebody in Canada. I'm talking to somebody in Florida, hoping to get the website updated. We've now been on Monday, we'll officially have been an actual company for 5 years. So we're going to update the website, put some bios on there so you know who you're talking to, what our experience is. So let's see. Oh, somebody wants to, you want to see that again? That's all you get. I know, such a tease, right? Maybe if there's the front. That's it. That's all I can give you. I can't even talk about it. Probably just melted my NDA and I'm going to get a phone call. All right, let's see. Robert says, morning, Willie from North Carolina. Trashed all my Unify equipment, strictly untangling Grandstream from now on. No problems for the last week, which makes my wife happy. Yes, when your wife is happy, or if your wife is a tech person and you're happy, it goes both ways. Makes everybody happy. So yeah, Grandstream, I'm telling you, anytime we put Grandstream APs in, they just work. I wish James was here because James could tell you, and Tim, if Tim was on here, we replace so many Ubiquity access points with Grandstream, and then we have no problems. It's interesting. Let's see. Ralph says, I got a new Palo Alto PA 440. Physically, it's a beast, very heavy. Supposed to be a lot faster than the 220. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Ralph, if if you're not, if you don't, plan on deploying that, let's make a deal. Let's make a deal, because the PA 200, what's going to happen when I fire this 200 up? Because there was enough people that said we need Palo Alto videos that I feel obliged at some point in the next year to start getting some videos online. They're going to see that this thing is a little slow, because you're right. The bigger units are a lot faster. So maybe, I have to talk about that. Okay. Bob Van Hayden says, can you please talk about Telnex and what is going on? So Telnex is not immune to the denial of service attacks. However, they got out in front of it very quickly, and they started working with Cloudflare to start scrubbing the traffic. So while they haven't been continuously offline, there has been a few days where Telnex service has been down for a couple hours at a time, which is a lot better than 2 weeks offline. We've had to do a couple of things. Some sites we've had to switch the transport on the trunk to TCP. Some places we just disable the trunk and re-enable it, and it works. They are, in my opinion, they're in a much better place than where VoIP.ms and bandwidth.com was. And by the way, last Monday, I don't know what happened in the United States. I'm assuming it was a BGP error, but like almost every ISP across the entire country was having connectivity problems very early in the day. And it's just crazy. Dave Robertson, thank you for your service too. JH says, yeah, you should just invite Grandstream rep to this chat to answer all the questions. That's a very interesting concept. I'll have to talk to my contact over there and see if I can get him in a webinar. So I'll tell you what, if there are specific questions that you want Grandstream to answer, you can email me. You can go to the contact form on my website, fill it out. And if we can get enough questions to fill like 25, 30 minutes, I'll see if I can get an interview with him. JH, what is the order that you placed that the due date is January 2023? That's Mr. BB. You have a great weekend too. Kelvin Owens in the house. Kelvin, I've been refreshing your page over there. What did I do with my phone? Oh, it's right here. So Kelvin is a writer over at Collider, and I just keep Kelvin. I'm not even messing with you. I just keep the page open, and I refresh it once a day and read your articles. What I would like to see an article on, Kelvin, if you can hear me, is I know that they started filming the Hocus Pocus 2. And so I'd like to see an update on where they're at with Hocus Pocus 2. I don't know how you decide what you write over at Collider, but it'd be awesome to see an update on Hocus Pocus 2. Everybody welcome Kelvin. The other thing that I've been watching is every year Kroger does this thing. It's called Dare to Care, and they do a bourbon auction. And they last year raised $200,000 for the food bank, and this year they're trying to raise $250,000 for the food bank. And here's what I know is that I need a group of people, and I've been trying to solicit people that like bourbon to go in on this auction with me, because here are some of the prices, and this auction still goes for a few more days, but it's a little unattainable for me. There's people that love bourbon that have a lot more money than I do, which is cool, but I can't even dance in that arena at those price levels. So I need like a group buy. All right, so back to the comments. Thank you, Kelvin, for the congrats on the 5 years. Technology Viking asks, any thoughts on Ubiquity door access versus Grandstream versus Schlage CTE controller versus LTS controller? So I only have experience with 3 different devices for door access. It is Ubiquity access, the Grandstream devices, and the Axis devices, right? So, and all 3 of those get used in different capacities. Now, I know that Axis bought 2N. And then there's also Doorbird. And what I like, so I take that back. So I have some limited experience with Doorbird. I've never had the device in my hand, but I have customers who have Doorbird. And so I've had to configure UCM PBXs to talk with Doorbird. Now, the Doorbird video works with Grandstream phones and the UCM. It just works. You don't have to do a bunch of special workarounds. And the Doorbird will also take DTMF tones for open. So it's I really like it. Let's see. Trying not to touch too many buttons here because we're on a roll, but I need to scroll up into the comments. David Anderson, not sure what you're talking about with problems that somebody solved. Oh, well, Grandstream is just super solid. We don't have overly buggy firmware. You know, every vendor has its flaws, right? Every vendor, especially a lot of these vendors are changing the support models and the way that things work. So every vendor has flaws. It's just which flaws can you live with? Which ones do the vendors learn from? Which ones do they not make again? You see where I'm going with this? Like, you know, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Have you ever heard that saying? It's kind of true with some of these vendors. But Tom says we are doing the same. Ubiquity out, Grandstream AP are awesome, and the problems go away. Ralph says we'll talk. It's for a remote office VPN with no serious complete date. All right, that's cool. Blaine, yeah, it's when we start doing voice, especially over Unify, the voice just doesn't there's no quality of service and things for the voice. So that's usually the first place we swap it out. Now, I have a customer who had 5 APs and was having issues, and we straightened it out. But Blaine, people are getting tired of the firmware problems. They're getting tired of really buggy releases. They're getting tired of problems with the UDM. They're getting tired of having to switch back and forth between 2 different interfaces. And if it was just one person, I wouldn't say anything about it. But I mean, you can go out there, you can read on Reddit, you can read the community, you can look at comments on videos. But you know, places that have IT departments that are just I mean, they are selling loads of APs because the APs, as long as you don't expect anything crazy. I mean, if you're looking for just basic connectivity, yeah, they work, right? So health clubs and places like that. I've never seen Ubiquity yet in a place like a Sam's Club, a Walmart, a Target. You know, I see Meraki, Cisco, Aerohive. You know, I see those kinds of brands. So, any word on an update for the Grandstream router? So, I believe that the current GWN 7000 probably is. I don't know if it's going to get another firmware update or what's going on with that. It can only do one VPN, but I think that Grandstream probably has something up their sleeve, and so you should probably just maybe hold on to your seat for a minute and see how firmware may turn out for a new device. That's all I'm saying. All right. Bob Carpenter says, I get the feeling that many things are being learned for VoIP providers. Attacks seem to be mitigated faster. Yeah, absolutely. But the internet is held together. People don't realize how fragile the infrastructure and the ecosystem really is. And I tell people all the time that the world is held together by bubblegum and fishing string. And if you've ever seen some server rooms, it really is. And it is very fragile. I mean, one ISP doing some bad BGP routing can take down significant portions of the internet, right? So it's really still in its infancy, and there's internet too, and there's people that think we can improve and blah blah blah. So we'll see. David Anderson says, do the Grandstream have central management like UBI? Yes, they do. You can do gwn.cloud, you can do GWN manager on site, or the access points themselves can act as controllers for up to 50 other APs. Aragorn Strider says, "Hey, welcome back. Yes, we're staying away from keywords that we think caused the glitch, even though that's totally hokey and yeah, what is that? Superstitious, but better safe than sorry." JH says, I'm scrolling back up. GPON stuff from AdTran. Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, we're using the Ubiquity GPON stuff, and it seems to work out pretty well. I was in a Facebook conversation with somebody else who said they've had a lot of dead uh, uh, units, and I'm like, well, we haven't had that yet, so thankfully. Cecil says, can you give us a video on GWN post initial setup tips for performance, and if there are any special things for having 15 Sonos speakers? Yeah. So Sonos comes up in a lot of small business and a lot of home deployments, no matter who the Wi-Fi manufacturer is or the networking gear. And so Sonos, the biggest problem that we see with Sonos is that somebody will connect a Sonos device to the Wi-Fi, and then they also have it hardwired in, which then causes a switching loop, right? So you have to make sure your spanning tree is configured properly. What we usually recommend is that if you can either hardwire all of your Sonos, do that, or put them all on the Wi-Fi, but don't mix, just for easier management, because who knows when somebody's going to put a firmware update that's going to freak everything out. Cecil, yeah, I think we can do that. I've been thinking about some of the different takes on some of the Grandstream videos that I want to do. By the way, 77 of you watch and only 38 thumbs ups. Hit that thumbs up button. Let the YouTube algorithm know that you like this here this morning. JH says he uses Axis for doors, and Linnell is okay for doors too. Yeah, Axis is fantastic. Doorbird is a German company. And Robert is correct. Dave Anderson, once you log into the master AP, you can make changes to all other APs if they are joined. They need to be joined as secondary access points. Let's see. Verkada is looking good for security and for cameras too. So Scott, this is one area we're going to have to agree to disagree. Companies like Verkada, you pay $330 a year or whatever it is, or the first year's $330 and then $150 a year for a camera. Their cameras aren't special. They're nothing special. It's not high-end hardware. It's not even it's not compatible, in my opinion, to higher-end Amcrest. It's not comparable to Access, to name a higher-end camera manufacturer. And you have to keep paying. If you don't keep paying, your camera turns into a brick. All of your footage is stored in the cloud. And if you think that they're not sharing your footage with other service providers, you're probably fooling yourself. Otherwise, how could Wise, for as many cameras as they have out there, how can their service offerings be so cheap when we all know how expensive storage at AWS is? So I have a lot of problems with the way the Verkada model works. Having to have your stuff in the cloud. Yeah, you can do SD cards, save certain things, but here's another thing. Verkada doesn't understand their target audience. Tim demoed a Verkada camera, and you could turn the facial recognition on. In the state of Illinois, it is illegal to use the facial recognition in the security cameras. In fact, if you buy a Google camera and you put it in, guess what? Google won't even let you turn the facial recognition on. It's not available in the state of Illinois. Verkada just probably doesn't care until there's going to be a lawsuit. Facebook is paying Facebook users $349 a piece from the state of Illinois for their settlement because they used facial recognition and did not get people's permission, and it was just happening. For as messed up as the state of Illinois can be, it has pretty decent consumer privacy laws. The Hookup says, good morning. The Hookup. Let's see. I just like to see Unify fix issues that have been around for years before they start pumping out all these shiny new features. I used those exact same words, shiny new. In fact, that exact same sentence with a client on Thursday. Is that there are so many features, and you can go back and you can look me up on the community. I don't know if they still have all the features from before they flipped the community to this new piece of software, but I mean, I had so many feature requests and I upvoted so many feature requests, and it's just like, they've fallen on deaf ears. Now, a lot of the things that are in UISP, I was a very early tester of UNMS, and I am so thankful that the developers of UNMS took the things like the credentials, the secure credential vault. That was one of the things that I had suggested, two-factor authentication, which I shouldn't have had to suggest. But web-based applications should all have two-factor authentication for administrator accounts at a minimum. But Unify, we don't know what's going on there. I can tell you that though, if you go out and you read the different communities, people are leaving. Tom says Grandstream AP helped with an older point of sale type equipment too. Yeah. Oh, 802.11b. So the problem with enabling 802.11b is that once a single device is heard that uses 802.11b, and I'm sure there's tons of devices out there that use it. I'm sure there are warehouses full of small IoT devices, scales, all kinds of things that have 802.11b only. The problem is once you enable it and once your AP hears a device like that, you rate limit everything else once it's connected. So you should have dedicated APs, in my opinion, for those devices. That's hilarious. Kyle says, how much of a sin is it that I just installed pfSense on my new Cisco? I'm not sure what the ENCS is, but I'm betting it's some sort of an appliance. And Tom says, no sin, you just set it free. That's hilarious. JH says, I see a ton of Unify APs at grocery stores. I haven't started seeing that around here yet. However, I mean, we still do install Ubiquiti, so don't get me wrong. Like I said, every vendor we deal with has a place and a time where we install the hardware. Scott says Ubiquiti is raising expectations for the market as a whole. No, they're not really for the market as a whole, because you cannot compare Ubiquiti to something like a Palo Alto. You can't compare it to the high-end Cisco stuff, the Juniper stuff, the Arista stuff. Name a vendor that plays in the data center. Ubiquiti is not going to be used in the data center in larger high usage data centers where uptime and support is important. And it's funny that you say that, because I've done videos on getting into the command line on the Unify stuff, and I tell you it's a horrible idea. And then I saw that Cody over at Mac Telecom, he did his layer 3 switch video where he goes in and he sets ACLs on the switch. The problem with that is it doesn't survive a reboot. But these are some of the things that people are talking about. Why did you release layer 3 with like 4 glaring huge problems that don't work in the UI? Why? So let's see. Back to the comments. Man, y'all are blowing it up this morning. I love it. Brian says, I'm spending my weekend setting up OpenSense and retiring my Unify USG Pro 4. I then need to find a 48 port PoE switch to replace my Unify 24 port. So I would look at TP-Link or Netgear if you want something that's generally available. And if you need layer 3, if you only need static layer 3, the TP-Link will work. The higher end Netgear stuff does support dynamic routing protocols. So, all right. DJ Ware says, literally found a barbed wire fence being used for networking more than once. And DJ Ware, I don't know if you are serious about that or if that's a joke. JH says, BGP has tons of issues with trusting routes, but is the only external routing protocol in use today, or static routing. So I can tell you that while some of those ISPs were having issues, there were a couple that I know for a fact that are static routed that were not having a problem, which is why I believe BGP was the culprit, but I haven't gone back to look that up. Yeah. And we should definitely not go back to Novell's IPX or Apple Talk. Bob, the hookup has been here several times. We welcome him over to the channel, and if you haven't seen it, he does a lot of camera stuff, a lot of IoT home automation stuff, and so go check out his channel. Let's see, and Gibby is right. Hit that like button. JH says Sonos loves multicast crap. Yeah. And that's the thing, right? So I have this conversation with people about Sonos. Like, how do I feel about Sonos? And when people are like, I want to put my Sonos in my IoT network, but I want it to work across VLANs, right? So when we do an IoT network, we put in firewall rules. We either use the guest, which is a fantastic set of firewall rules by default, or we build firewall rules to segregate that so that there is no IoT devices that can get into the main LAN or whatever LANs that we want to separate. And so punching those holes for Sonos to work, first of all, kind of defeats the purpose. Second of all, I don't see the Sonos speakers themselves as a large security issue because they are using multicast traffic to play the music. The device that's hosting whatever is sending the multicast traffic is really where your problem is going to be. I got to be honest with you, like my Sonos here, I did this huge experiment where we did that. We put all the firewall rules in, and then an update came out and it broke. And so I started looking at it. And I'm like, are these speakers really is this really the hill I want to die on? Right? Are these speakers really the issue? And so I got to tell you, like, I recommend leaving Sonos in the same network, especially small networks. And Bob is right. Yeah, if you don't have STP, get it. Prav says, did a quick read on Okio. Looks slick, but it's not rack mount. If and when Grandstream comes back with their router, a rack mount option would be great just to manage stuff better. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I've been pushing Synology to take their Synology router management, throw it on a crazy CPU with like 16 gigs of RAM and put it in a 1U box, and I can't get them to do it. I just can't get them to do it. Grandstream has a Newsfan77 asked, does Grandstream have any in-wall APs? They have the 7602, but we haven't seen all the mounting options for it. And that's as close as they have to an in-wall AP right now. Dale, if Dale is still here, Dale is ordering lots of TP-Link in-wall APs, and then he just took the last of our vendors' Ubiquity in-wall APs. Tom says new cameras we are using that are NDAA compliant company is called Turing. I'll have to check that out. Their AI is very cool and cam costs are great. I like the on-prem AI stuff. I've been playing a lot with Blue Iris and the deep stack integration there. And anytime we can keep those workloads in-house with a GPU, I would prefer to do that. Yeah, Verkada, they will chat you up for sure. But I mean, just know that you miss a payment, your camera's a brick, right? And your camera should probably, the hardware, if you're just general cameras, should probably be lasting like 5 to 7 years minimum, I think. I mean, hell, there are still BNC connected cameras out there. There's the old joke about gas station footage. There are still banks and gas stations that run VHS recording. I mean, so right tool for the job is exactly right. Good morning, CH. Ralph says, what are your thoughts on the new Ubiquity controller layout? Getting the right SSIDs on the right APs breaks my brain the new way. Yeah, it takes a little bit of getting used to because for the last however many years that Unify has been out, we did it the old way. And the one thing, my biggest complaint is either keep developing the new UI under the veil of secrecy, and then once everything has been migrated, bring it back, or put everything, this going between UIs. This is causing contention, especially when there's a bug that probably still exists, where if you turn on the new UI and you create an IPsec VPN for remote users, it doesn't work. And so you have to, before you create the VPN, you have to turn off the new UI, create the VPN, then turn the new UI back on. These are things that should have never made it into a production controller. Let's see. Bob Carpenter says ENCS, enterprise network compute system. Yeah, so it looks like servers, maybe a blade system or something. I don't know. Harry says, I use Synology Radius server for my Wi-Fi security. Had an issue that Synology blocked the IP address of the access point due to someone used a bad username and password. That's interesting. Must be the username password rule must flow over to the Radius, or is it a separate um, configuration portion in the Radius? That'd be definitely interesting to know. The hookup says, I think that Ubiquiti put out layer 3 with a bunch of issues because they promised it on Gen 2 switches 2 years ago. Yeah, they've promised a lot of things for a lot of years. IT Boss says, your thoughts on Unify access? I am not rolling it to customers at this point. Most states govern access control themselves, and there's a lot of life safety things and a lot of laws that you need to follow. And so when it comes to that kind of stuff, we do an initial consult, but then I actually have a couple security companies that's their bread and butter. That's all they do. And I work with them and they take care of it. They're licensed, bonded, insured specifically for these life safety things. Also in the state of Illinois, unless it's a home user like my friend, you won't see me, or at my day job, you won't see me out hanging up cameras, because in the state of Illinois, you are supposed to be licensed and bonded to install security systems, security cameras. I have seen instances where people have gotten in trouble because people have tattled on them. So I just do the front end consulting, and then I hand some of that off to other people. Kyle says, I've heard so many people without justification say not to get TP-Link that as a newbie has honestly scared me away. No, TP-Link, so back a few years ago, their switches had some capacitor issues. They seem to have fixed that problem. They've got a limited lifetime warranty. Their higher end switches, which are not really that expensive, have a great feature set. At one point, Ubiquiti had a beta firmware for the Edge line that had the stacking. I don't know why they got rid of it. I don't know. But, when we need features like that and we don't want to spend a ton of money, TP-Link is a good go-to. Netgear is a good go-to. Netgear's got some real high-end stuff that competes with Cisco. Now, it doesn't compete at like the Nexus level, and it doesn't compete with like Arista, but it competes at a much higher level than the Ubiquiti. DJ says, seriously, I guess the farmer decided the cables on the telephone pole could be great as a replacement for the barbed wire that broke. Oh, that's interesting. Tom says that they like Paxton and Cantech for access control. Good morning, Chris Yeater. I'm glad you are with us. Brian says, proxying multicast for Sonos is not worth the headaches. I agree 100%. JH says, if you want a good audio system, look into QSC QSYS. So Disney actually still has tons of old technology in use as well. And can you imagine trying to modernize the technology that runs a place like Disney World? Holy cow. I would love to be able to consult on a job like that, like call them up. Like I had somebody who wanted to fly me to Alaska, short notice, like a 3-day notice, to work on some HP switches because HP wasn't able to do a configuration. And so instead of flying HP, they wanted to fly me up. And while I appreciate that short notice stuff doesn't work right now. And but like if Disney called me and they're like, hey, like we'd like you to come down and consult on this. First of all, that would blow my mind. Second of all, I would take vacation time for that for sure. Let's see. Back. I'm trying to get to all your comments and questions here. You're all being fantastic. It's like we haven't been able to do this for a couple weeks. Brian says, not trying to beat a dead horse, but years ago I went all in with Ubiquiti because I wanted better roaming with wireless, which it served. Does it? Yeah. Well, some applications it doesn't work well. I have a couple of SQL based applications and it doesn't work well. And I think you're still going to be waiting a while on the policy-based routing features. All right. Dennis says, I must be old school because all my speakers are Bose. Bose makes excellent speakers. So thoughts on Unify Access? I think I gave this to you. I'm not deploying it in production. Tom says, launching my first QNAP NAS today. Good luck. Good luck. I have a new QNAP NAS that they sent me. I got to get the hard drives in it. They sent me a bunch of 8 terabyte hard drives. And so tonight I'm going to have, what am I going to have? Well, it depends. We got to go pick up groceries here shortly. And if they have any Weller or any Blanton's, I'm going to pick up a bottle of that. Otherwise, it'll probably be a Four Roses single barrel and putting hard drives in the QNAP and firing it up tonight. Let's see. Back over to the comments. I have never even considered Netgear for switching. What model do you suggest? Well, when I use it, it's usually top of a virtualization rack, and so we're looking at the M4300 series, Brian. Yeah, JH is correct. Look at the fully managed switches. That's what we use. We use the higher end ProSafe for MDF, and then that M4300 series for top of the virtualization rack or semi-core switch. Bob says not only VHS recording, probably been using the same tape for 25 years. Yeah, it's the they got the evidence of where Jimmy Hoffa is on those VHS tapes. Let's see. I'm looking through the comments, so please just bear with me. Any thoughts on the Grandstream cameras, the GSC 3620? I've got some of those. They're fantastic. They tie in. They use the SIP protocol. We can do all kinds of things with them. So if there's somebody in a place they're not supposed to be, we can make a phone call, which is fantastic. And they do make, I mean, the price, you can't beat the price on the Grandstream cameras. So they're very inexpensive and they've got good quality. And I like that they tie into the UCM. So I'm excited to see where Grandstream is going to take their automation stuff over the next couple of years. I've got some ideas. I was asked for some input, so we'll see where it goes. Bob says, any recommendation for a blue iris camera for a proverbial cabin in the woods, one to capture wildlife at night, but high resolution too during the day? So Bob, I would look at the, there is an Amcrest. There's also a Hike Vision and a Dawa where they have the color night vision. I would check one of those out. Aragorn Strider says Unify Access needs to get UL 295 listing as a life safety access control system. And I didn't know that it didn't have that. I really don't know what that is because, like I said, I hand a lot of this off to other people. So if you could fill us in on that, that would be fantastic. JH says, yes, I consulted for Disney. Yeah, I have a guy that I work with locally who audio is his thing. And so every time we start talking about Disney, I get the stories about the audio systems that they still have and all that good stuff. All right. Let's see. Kelvin, if Disney calls, we'll sneak you in and we'll bring you along as a consultant. Let's see, over in the comments. Aruba Instant on switches do work very well. They've got a lot of good features, inexpensive price, limited lifetime warranty. So we do use those too. We've got a place over in Boston that we got a place over in Boston that Boston. We got a place over in Boston that we've got those switches and Grandstream APs and we're doing all kinds of cool stuff over there. Let's see. The hookup says those Grandstream cameras look interesting. I don't immediately recognize the OEM on them. Well, maybe Grandstream, I don't know. You should buy one and open it up, the hookup, and give me a shout out and then open it up and tell me who the OEM is. Be fantastic. And there's my lovely wife reminding me that grocery pickup is 10 a.m. Everybody say hi to Mrs. Samantha Howe, who just turned a whopping 38 yesterday. Happy birthday to my wife. And she got me to break my fast this morning on potato donuts called Spud Nuts. and it was everything that I thought it would be. All right, so we are going to go ahead and we're going to wrap it up. So I hope you're all doing well. I hope everybody's plans are working out as possible. We are careening very quickly towards the holidays, hoping with some time off, I'm going to be able to get caught up on videos. And so I hope that you all go out and do something awesome today. And I've got a couple videos that I'm going to get ready. You noticed I did get a couple of videos out this week. It was fantastic. And I want to thank you all for being here. If you need IT consulting, go to williehowe.com. All the affiliate links are below. I want to thank you for being here. And as always, I'll see you in the next video.